Okay, hello and welcome to the next episode of Let's Talk Brand. This is the first in Poland series of interviews with world-class branding experts. And today I'm super excited to finally interview Jerome Joseph. And now I'm going to use my notes, the CEO of the Brand Theater Worldwide, based in Singapore, an award-winning brand customer experience strategist and a global speaker focused on brand strategy, brand engagement, internal branding, personal branding, and branded customer experience. He's also acknowledged as a global brand guru on the top 30 global gurus list, and is ranked number 2 in the world. He is also best-selling author of 8 books on branding, has consulted with over 1,000 brands, and has spoken in 34 countries. And hopefully one day you will also speak in Poland. I'm looking forward to it, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I want to introduce global experts to the Polish entrepreneurs, marketers, and students to finally invite you to our country to share your knowledge here. So welcome to the podcast, and actually welcome to Poland, Jerome.
I'm excited to represent, right, my country of Singapore. I've not been to Poland. My wife actually was born next door to Poland.
Really?
Belarus.
Oh, yeah.
So my wife was born in Belarus, and my brother-in-law has got Polish. His family was from Poland, so he's got Polish blood in him. So that's my connection, right?
Okay, so quite close, but now the world is quite small. We can meet online and discuss.
Exactly.
And today I would like to talk with you about internal branding, and I like
this topic, right?
And I like to start with basics. So if you can explain basic and some definitions, and if you can explain what is internal branding and why is it so important.
Wow. I could read my entire book and I still won't finish.
You do not have enough time.
I'm going to try to simplify it for you, right? When you have an organization, I call that organization a brand. The employees become part of that brand. So internal branding is about directing your efforts internally in your organization to strengthen the culture of your organization, to get your people on board the brand. And this is crucial because many organizations have multiple cultures, but in my book and in my thought leadership, it has to be driven by your brand. That's what's going to differentiate you in the marketplace. That's what's going to get your people moving towards the same direction. That's where your organization's strategic goals are going to head towards. And that is internal branding.
Okay, quite simple, but okay, let's make it even more clear or simple. What are the touch points between internal and external branding? I know that people get lost in all these concepts and definitions.
Sure.
Branding, external branding, internal branding, employer branding, marketing, culture, customer experience, lots of that. In my opinion, branding is always about the same thing. Of course, the subject changes. But maybe if you can just make it more clear, what are the touch points and what are the differences and why?
It's a simple kind of thing, right? Think of an iceberg. I mean, it's a little bit cliche and it's been overdone. But if you think about an iceberg, what people see above the iceberg is your brand collaterals, it's your website, it's those kind of touch points, right? So this is what people see. Internal branding is what people don't see. It is your people. It's your beliefs. It's what you represent, and all that is what the world doesn't really see. I mean, they see it. They see it through the actions, through the external branding, but internal is always about being inside your organization. So examples of touch points inside an organization would be, for example, your people, your employees. It would be the kind of training programs that you get your people on board your brand. It would be heroes that represent your brand story. It would be rituals, symbols. So all these elements of what makes a brand really powerful is if they can get all this aligned to what they represent, get everyone on board, that's a sign of a truly world-class brand that's grown from within.
Okay. But how can we engage employees in a way that they become the ambassadors for our brand? Sorry, I would like to add something, but because I think it's quite simple when we have a very small company where everyone has a contact with each other. But the situation is completely different when we think about a very large or a global company, when we have hundreds or even thousands of people. And what tools should be used? Should we use to deliver the message and verify if employees are already or still are on brand?
Sure. So Lukaz, there are many ways. In fact, in my book and what I've written, I wrote on an entire approach to how to do this in your organization. But let me give you some simple tips, for your viewers and on how to think about your brand from within. And I will simplify it even more by bringing in the element of the 4 C's. So what's the 4 C's that need to happen in organization? Number 1 is clarity. It is very important that every single person in your organization knows about your brand. And I know you kind of mentioned, hey, in a small organization, it's a lot easier. Yes, it is. But I do a lot of work. In fact, my PhD is looking at small organizations and internal branding. And one of the things that I discovered is only the leader knows the brand inside out. Everyone else does not have the right clarity. So individuals in organization or employees in organization interpret the brand differently. So number 1 is clarity, making sure everyone is on the same page.
Okay.
Number 2 is connection. So it's one thing to know about your brand. It's another thing to get people to believe in your brand. So that's a tough part, right? Because when I go around and work with organizations, and these organizations do a really good job in letting all the employees know about the brand, but when you speak to them, the employee goes, "Yeah, but okay, I know I know my values, but so what?" So that connection, that belief piece is extremely crucial. And there is a whole variety of tools that I talk about in my book to help you, number 1, of course, get people to know clarity, but more importantly, get them to believe in the brand. So connection is about creating belief. And you could do that in a few ways. You could do that, for example, by having powerful stories that represent what the brand means. Steve Jobs does a really good job of that. I mean, the kind of stories that Apple tell about Steve Jobs is a good example of employees who go, "Wow, I love the story of the hero." And they get inspired to work there and what it represents. So it could be stories, it could be training. So I spend a lot of time training organizations all around the world to get the employees to understand the brand, but to believe in it. So there are many techniques and tools that you can use to create connection. Number 3 is consistency. Now, this is a huge problem with organizations that are going, because why? They launch their brand to the world. Woohoo, we have got great values. Yes, our purpose. We want to transform the world. And 3 months later, completely sizzles out. So consistency means that if you put a message to the world, The world needs to see you doing this consistently every single time. And that's the third C. The fourth C is champion. Champion means how can you get people in your organization to advocate your brand, to tell other people about your brand, to influence inside the organization and outside the organization. For me, again, that's another big thing that I don't see in organizations. You tend to see the leader being the champion, but you don't see employees doing that for the organization. Oh, my work ends at 5 o'clock. It's time for me to go home. See ya. World-class organizations have champions that walk the talk, that lead the way, that influence and act as a catalyst of change. So that's the 4 C's.
Okay, and you also wrote a book, 10 Principles to Grow Your Internal Brand, and
Sure.
so I guess there's more principles how to do this well, and how to create this beliefs among
It
the
is.
employees.
Look, when we work with clients around the world, it's a full consulting project. I go in, I spend sometimes a year. We just finished working with a client in Singapore, and this is a world-class resort. And a big part of the process is the framework that I talk about in my book. Number one, we had to do a lot of research by investigating what was going on in the organization to find out where they were at in terms of, number one, where was the brand and where they want to go. So that research is very important because that helps you now find out where are the opportunities and what gaps do I need to close when I start thinking about internal branding. Number two, we then had to create the brand DNA of the organization. And that's a strategic piece. From the brand DNA, we then had to map out, and you kind of talked about it, the touch points, but map out how can I influence people in my organization to get on board in the brand. And I use the 4 C's in this process, but there is the workshops that we run, there is the online learning that we put together, there is the communication messages that we provide them, there is the stories that we curate, there's the symbols, there's the rituals, it's a whole bunch of stuff. So you get that right. If you get that right, I promise you, right, your organization will be much better for it.
Okay. Now I think people may have some troubles to understand what's the difference between internal branding and employer branding.
Sure.
So you can explain this.
So internal branding, in fact, when I run my masterclass, I cover both in my masterclass. And I kind of talk a little bit about my book. Employer branding is attracting the right people to join your organization that is driven by what your brand DNA is all about. So once you create that strategy of who you are and what you represent, you get your people on board the brand, then the next part of it would be, hey, we stand for passion, or maybe we stand for integrity. I want to get and recruit or attract the right people to fit in our brand. So of course, a big part of employee branding, you need, for example, if I need to hire someone in customer service, for example, I would need someone to have the skills in customer service. That's a given. But in the recruiting, and I call it recruit on brand, you now need to also have components where you can assess this person based on the brand DNA of your organization. And that is employer branding, the ability to attract someone to your brand and to allow them and align them to, hey, if you join organization X, this is what you're going to get. So it's an attraction message. It's to pull people in, but it's also to help you choose the right fit of people.
Okay, so now it's clear and it's understandable. So thank you for this. And you've said that internal branding is something that the prospects do not see because it's internal, but they can experience it.
Yeah.
I remember from I'm not sure, from your video or your keynote, the story about the case of the guitar and the United Airlines.
Oh.
And I'm not sure if it was good lessons for them, as later there was another case with Dr. Dao.
Yes.
So maybe they didn't do their homework, but if you can, some may not know these stories. So before answering if it was a good lesson or what was this lesson for them, can you remind the audience what these stories were about?
Sure. So the story of United Airlines, I mean, you're right, there were two stories. And I mentioned both the stories and sometimes in my workshops. One story was about a gentleman who, because of an interaction he had with an employee of United Airlines, ended up having his guitar broken. He got so upset that he wrote a song about it that went viral. United, of course, did not really respond to that song because they didn't see it as so what, you write a song about me, who cares? But the song went viral, and United in the end paid for the broken guitar after like a year-long saga. So now, how does it relate back to internal branding? Is very simple. The reason why you invest in an internal branding program is to prevent incidents like this from happening. Internal branding helps you create a culture driven by your brand. It gets your people on board to what you represent. If you get that right, then these people are able to translate the message to the audience in a way that resonates from your brand. Of course, in the United case, internal branding, when I run internal branding programs, sometimes there is a need to also supplement that with a program that I call branded customer experience. So you get people on board your brand, but you may need to teach them specific customer-facing skills that resonate from your brand, hence the program Branded Customer Experience. So the United story is an example of stories of multiple brands around the world whose people have proven to be destructive when it comes to the brand. Now, I'm going to ask your viewers a question, right? You guys have services that you all use. For example, the train, the plane, the bus, the shop that you go to, a restaurant. Now, most of the time when you ask people, if you go to the restaurant 10 times, and out of the 10 times, you had 9 good experiences, chances are you won't really remember it or talk too much about it. You might go to your friends and you might go, hey, that's a nice restaurant. But hey, out of the 9 times, you have 1 time, one bad experience. Guess what's going to happen? It's going to stick like super glue. People focus, unfortunately, I don't like that about human beings, but we focus on what went wrong. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to be upset. They're going to be miffed. They're going to go on social media. They're going to tell the world. But what about the 9 times that they had good experiences? No. I want to focus on that 1 bad time.
Yes.
And that is the reality that brands need to understand. That is why it is so crucial that every touch point where your employee is delivering an experience has to be at this level. Consistency. We talk about consistency as one of the C's. That's it. You got to be consistent. You got to be playing at this level all the time. If you are great Monday to Thursday, but on Friday, hey, I'm in a bad mood, I fought with my wife. Boom, that's it. People are going to remember that. That's why, I mean, I have a tough challenge when I go into organize, because with my brand consulting firm, Lukaz, I do external branding and I do internal branding. And when I go in and when I talk to organizations, many organizations are very focused on the external part of branding, which is good because, I'm happy to serve them. I'm happy for you to be successful. But then when I stop them and I go, hey, but what about the inside part? Oh, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And I go, you should be worried about it. Because if you put a message to the world and if your people cannot deliver that message, you are in trouble.
Yes. And I know it from my own experience. Some time ago, before pandemic situation, I talked to some employees in the spa, And I asked them, why you do these messages? What do you want to change in this human life? And they did not know why they are doing this. Most of them said, because we are earning money. We want to earn the money. That's why we're doing messages. so I think that's a big problem, not only in Poland, but globally.
I got a story. Is it okay if I share the story?
Yes, sure.
So, I'm trying to think if I should mention the name of the country. So I'm not going to mention the name of the country.
Okay.
So I travel 100 days a year, and I've spoken in 34 countries. One of the countries that I went to, when I went to the country, and by the way, I actually love this country. For me, this country has amazing food. This country has great people. But the first touch point, which is an important touch point for this country, is your immigration. So I land at the immigration and I see that they have this brand messaging. The message is service with a smile. And there were posters everywhere, Lucas. You got off the plane, as you walk to immigration, there were posters. Even when I went to the toilet, there were posters in the toilet. Staring right back at you. And employees of this immigration also had badges with the word service with a smile. So now let me ask you, Lucas, you've seen all of this. What do you expect?
Smile.
A smile.
A lot of smile.
So before this, I know what immigration is like. I had no expectation. But now you have promised me that you are going to give me a smile. You're going to serve me with a smile. And I'm like, yes, I'm looking forward to this. So I queue up and I said, look around with my passport. I'm looking around. I realized nobody was smiling.
They should change the message. We would try to smile.
Yeah, try to smile, or we don't smile, but you know what? You smile on our behalf. Okay. So I got a little bit up. Again, I'm the brand guy, right? So for me, this is like injustice. I want to, as a brand, if you put a message out there, I want you to live it. So I reached the counter where the immigration officer is there. And he wasn't smiling, but there was a poster at the back of his room, and he had the badge. I handed him my passport. I waited for my smile. There was no smile. So I knocked on the glass window. He looked up because yes, and I said, the campaign you have is, the message is about service with a smile. Here's my smile. Can I have your smile? If looks could kill. He looks at me like I've insulted his mother. That's when I know, okay, you know what, Mr. Brand Guy, shut up. Zip it, take your passport. If not, you're going to be kicked out from the country. So I kept quiet.
Maybe they want people to write songs about them, poems.
I'll tell you what it is, Lucas. This story which I'm sharing is an example of multiple organizations that I visited around the world. They put up this, they go to their marketing team, come up with great brand messages, tell the world that we are about care, we are about responsibility. Like United Airlines, by the way, you know what they have? We fly friendly, we fly right, we connect the world. So they put up these great messages to the world, and then when they cannot fulfill it, the world is going to go, wait a minute, you promised me that. I am not happy. I am now going to tell the world how you cheated me and lied to me. And that's what's happened. So this in this incident with the immigration, it's a metaphor for multiple organizations. If you only focus on the outside and you ignore your outside, it doesn't matter what size your organization is, you will be in trouble if your people cannot deliver your brand to the world.
Yes, wonderful story. Thank you for sharing this. So I have a last question for you. In the context of internal branding, how companies should respond to such a global crisis, or just any crisis that affects brand and employees?
So firstly, I mean, for your viewers that they're listening in, I feel you. You know, it's happened to my own organization as well. The world is in a very challenging place. But I'm gonna pinpoint a few things that I've advised my clients to do from an internal brand perspective. There are many things that you should be doing from an external perspective, but let's start by looking from an internal perspective. The first thing that you need to do is to please empathize with your people. Many of them are going through change like never before. Working from home, stressed out if they're going to have a job, pay cuts. Empathy is something which is very underrated. Show your people that you care. So the first thing is please empathize with them. Have heart. Brands who have heart are so crucial today. Number two is this. Recognize them. Hey, you know, this year, 2020, I keep still thinking I'm in 2020. In 2020, my goodness, my people, my team members, my consulting and my training team, they work like they never worked before. And as such, I continuously recognize them over and over again. I thank them. I write them love letters, because they have fought for me, right? They have stood for me, and despite all these challenges, they're there for the organization. So please recognize your people because they need to feel the love during these tiring times. So from an internal brand perspective, these are two simple things that you can do. The final thing that you can start to do is to start thinking about how you are going to communicate those messages in your organization. And that is an entire internal brand communication strategy that you need to embark on. It could be town halls, it could be one-on-ones, it could be mentorship, and so on. There's a whole bunch of activities that you can do to just help you during this period. And I've told organizations this: don't forget your people during this time. If you ignore them and you just focus on, oh my God, we're in trouble, I need more money from customers. Let's focus all our efforts on just customer acquisition, and you forget your people. Again, same thing as I've been preaching throughout. You will get in trouble. You got to get your people and you got to get them on board your site, specifically during this time.
Okay. Thank you very much. I really love your energy when you speak, and I can imagine how you can move people when you have a keynotes or work with the companies. It's amazing.
You know, when I do keynotes, it's very interesting, right? So Lukaz, if you met me in the street, I'm probably going to be like this. I'm introverted. But you know what? Something happens to me when I get on stage. I come alive. I'm like, ooh. I make people cry. I make people laugh. I make them feel their heartbeats. And I can only do that on the stage. Otherwise, outside, I'm like, don't.
So as I said at the very beginning, hopefully one day in Poland we can see you on stage.
Yes, bring me to Poland. Even if it's virtual.
We have to wait when this whole pandemic situation is going to finish, and we will see what we can do. So if you would like to invite people to your, as we cannot meet now in Poland, we can meet online on conferences and on the podcast. But if you'd like to invite people to your channels, website, blog, YouTube channel, or recommend your books, you can please do this right now. I think it's going to be.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to do this, right?
Okay.
What if I give your viewers a free course? A free online course. No strings attached. We are selling this course for US $97. We launched it. We probably sold about 1,000 licenses of the course. And then with the course, we started to realize that we wanted to give back to organizations, to people, specifically during this challenging period. So we have made this course for free for our clients and our network. Free. And it's about global branding trends. So the whole course is about trends. It's about how you can think about and strategize your brand in 2021, thinking about what are the key trends you need to look at. It's a mini course, but it's powerful. I'm going to give this course to your viewers. I will send you the link in an email. Please flash it in when you are doing this. They need to type the word brand guy, that's me, and they will get this course for free. It will be limited because I am given, people, when I started announcing, giving it away, we had 1,000 people that paid for it, but we had nearly 3,000 people that got it for free. And we are okay. This is our way of giving back. I will give this course to your viewers. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
You're
wonderful.
welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, and of course, thank you for sharing your knowledge, your energy with Polish entrepreneurs who are going to watch this, marketers and students, because I am now at the university in Gdańsk. This is the north coast of Poland. It was a really pleasure to have you here.
Lukaz, you have my copy of my book?
No, I do not have your copy of your book.
Do you have a digital copy?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
All right, I will send you a digital copy.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
I will send you a digital copy.
So many gifts at the beginning of the year.
I know, man. It's Christmas. Orthodox Christmas is just finished.
And now, after this podcast, you are a part of Polish branding revolution. So,
hey, Poland.
So thank you.
I'm come and visit.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. So one more time, thank you very much, Jerome, and thank you for all these free gifts. And hope, as I said, we can meet soon in Poland.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. Thank you very much.